Over the next year, California lawmakers and healthcare experts will work together to come up with a way to provide adequate health care for all residents. But there is also a critical need for a fragile segment of our community. Right now, there are about 20,000 Californians waiting for an organ transplant. As Common Ground's Pamela Wu reports, one donor can save as many as 8 lives.
This is a family.
To Brenda O'Donnell, her dad was a real-life hero, funny, well-read, smart.
He used to make up songs about things, and I notice in my own life I make up songs about all sorts of things. You know, my kids will say, "Yeah, have you heard her washing the dog song?" You know, so it's like I kind of get that from my dad, and he used to make up concoctions in the kitchen. You know, throw together recipes, and they were delicious. You know, so I never had a bad concoction that he ever made, but just a really nice guy who was a wonderful father, a wonderful husband. And he was just a great guy to know.
In his death, Lonnie Ray Johnson also became a hero to 22 complete strangers. His unexpected death at age 68 gave those people another chance at life. Brenda was part of the Donate Life float at this year's Rose Parade, along with other families of donors or organ and tissue recipients.
And it was really just quite a moving experience, and just to see the reaction of the crowd, because most of the floats in the parade, they're very beautiful and they have a lot of entertainment value, but we're more of an inspiration. And people just got what we were about. And so, you know, they would cry, we would cry.
Long before she lost her dad to a brain aneurysm in 2002, Brenda understood the circle of life. At 16, she told her family she wanted to be a donor. Her desire to turn sorrow into joy grew even stronger with the deaths of her cousin's 2 young children. They were also donors.
He was 7, he was 11. They were incredible kids. He was in 8th grade. He was a senior in high school. They were incredible. And this was back in 1994. It was the weekend, a Memorial Day weekend, and a drug driver hit their family's car as they were leaving church.
In 2003, a year after her dad's death, she decided it was time to take a more active role in promoting organ donation. At a reception organized by organ and tissue recipients to thank donor families, Brenda met dozens of recipients, babies to seniors, all transformed by the gift of life.
Yes, we were sitting there with our eyes full of tears because we've lost our loved ones, but then there were also tears of joy because there are other people who were given that second chance.
And the need is even greater today. Experts say every 90 minutes, one person dies while waiting for a transplant. Minorities make up more than half the Californians waiting for life-saving transplants. Tracy Bryan with Donate Life California calls it a health crisis.
There is more of a need for minority transplants because minorities suffer from hypertension, heart disease, and diabetes at a higher proportion than the rest of the population. So they are dying every day because we don't have enough donors. We have the surgical techniques, we have the medication, everything's in place. What's missing in this equation is donors.
Bryan says much of the resistance comes from misconceptions about costs, burial arrangements, and religious stances on donations. A recent study found while half of families surveyed refused to donate their loved ones' organs, 93% would if the deceased had informed them of their wishes. Brenda is part of a new group reaching out to minority communities. She says it's easier to match donor and recipient when they share the same ethnic background. But minority patients making low wages often have poor health coverage and can't afford to take time off work.
They're far sicker when they do come to the attention of medical professionals, and so they have a tendency to not thrive as well as other people who have better health care access when they're waiting for organ and tissue donation. So they're much sicker, and they have a higher rate of passing away while they're waiting.
Despite the odds, Brenda wants to get the word out so that more recipients and donors can enjoy what she had, the gift of love, through the gift of life.
We did receive a letter from a man who was 36 who received one of my father's lungs, and he wrote a letter saying that he was a father of 3 and that receiving the lungs from my father made the biggest difference in his life, and he was so happy because now he could watch his 3 young sons grow up.
I'm Pamela Wu for Common Ground.
You can become a donor by visiting www.donatelifecalifornia.org, and you can also sign up at www.dmv.ca.gov when you apply for or renew your driver's license or your ID card.